In the decades before the original and sequel trilogies, when the Millennium Falcon was commonly called junk, its model was actually quite popular among the rich and powerful of the galaxy. The Falcon itself can even be seen in Revenge of the Sith, landing in the docking bay of the Senate building. This ship has been confirmed by George Lucas to be the actual Falcon, and not just a lookalike. This hasn't been retconned by Disney, and it's important to notice that it looks exactly like it does in the original trilogy. The same color, but more importantly, the same shape. So this begs the question, how did it wind up looking like it does in Solo? Well, obviously, because the answer to this question concerns the movie, and the movie isn't out yet, we don't have a definitive answer, but we do have a few clues. Small clues, granted, but anything helps. On the Falcon's canon Wikipedia page, there is a list of everyone who has ever modified the ship that we know of. The first two names are the ones we're interested in here. Lando Calrissian, and directly under him, Han Solo. Now this far from answers our question, but it's a start. Just because we don't have actual answers doesn't mean we can't take a guess, right? That's what I plan to do, but I should warn you. This is where the facts end, and the speculation begins. My idea is that shortly after the rise of the Empire, Corellian YT model freighters like the Falcon became obsolete technology and were thus dumped by the galaxy's elite in favor of something more modern. This allowed the YTs to find their way into the lower levels of Coruscant and into the Outer Rim, where they would be used for various seedy purposes. Eventually Lando would get his hands on one that used to be called the Stellar Envoy. Its current owner called it the Millennium Falcon, but whatever its name was, nothing could change the fact that the ship looked like garbage. Lando was a criminal with class. He couldn't accept a ship like this. It looked like it was being held together by its own rust, and had traded the ability to fly past light speed with the ability to get you high just from the smell of residual spice. But Lando saw the potential of its bones, even if the exterior repulsed him. So, he bought it, and did what any good gambler would. He went to the nearest casino and played for enough credits to restore the Falcon to its former glory, even surpass it. He lost. But he did manage to make it out of the casino alive, and with more than enough credits, as well as a few bottles of the casino's finest Corellian wine. If only all of his crew members had escaped to celebrate with him. With his, winnings, he was able to completely remodel the Falcon after his own taste, as well as give the drab thing a touch of color. Once finished, he used it as his base of operations, perfecting his Dejarik skills and dreaming with his co-pilot L337 about winning the Kessel Run in no more than 15 parsecs. He participated in a lot of heists during this time, frequently taking more than his share. Every job was fairly routine, until one day he found himself wrapped up with something that, for no particular reason, he knew would be different. Maybe it was this kid's Solo. He had proven himself to be a good pilot. Not good enough for the Falcon, but still good. Whatever it was, the job itself wasn't too hard, although they did get some trouble from some hokey cult leader. Oh, and they had gotten into some unfortunate Imperial entanglements. It was really the aftermath of that job that was the hardest, seeing as they were all running for their lives now. But that was when Solo had a crazy idea, to enter the Kessel Run. That way, they could get 18 systems away from their pursuers at once, and, though Solo wouldn't admit it, fulfill a lifelong dream of his. There was just one problem. Lando had just recently lost the Falcon to Solo in a sabacc game he thought he had in the bag. If only he had used his rigged deck. The Kessel Run was notoriously dangerous, and he didn't know if Solo could handle it. If he so much as scratched the Falcon. There was nothing to be done about it, though. They were already entered, and the race really was their best shot at making it out of this alive. Reluctantly, Lando ceded the pilot's chair to Solo and prayed to every deity he could think of. Things got off to a bad start when Imperials showed up at the starting line, looking for one specific ship. Even without external weapons, Solo managed to neutralize most of their ties. As for their Star Destroyers, he could easily outrun those Imperial slugs, but there were a lot of them, and each one carried a lot more fighters. By the 8th parsec of the race, things were starting to get tight. L337 calculated the odds of making it to the end alive, and no one liked them. Of course, no one had asked her to share those details, but that was beside the point. On hearing this new information, Solo banked hard left and exited the boundaries of the race. But despite everyone's rather loud protests, he didn't turn around. He gunned the engines and made a beeline for Parsec 15. By cutting this corner, he had probably outrun the imps, not to mention he had just knocked out 6 parsecs of an 18-parsec race. Everything seemed to be going smoothly until they got to the finish line, where more Imperials were waiting. The Falcons still didn't have any external weapons, but Solo was creative. He managed to take out most of the imps, but not without damage. By the time he crossed the finish line, the nose of the ship was completely blown off, the satellite dish was shot, and the hull was in flames. But Han Solo wasn't the type to be put down by such minor inconveniences. The important thing was that he now owned the Millennium Falcon, and he had just used it to complete the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. Over the next decade or so, between the end of this movie and A New Hope, Han would find old salvaged factory parts for Corellian YT model freighters and piece the Falcon back together. By the time he was done, she didn't look like all that much, but she had it where it counted, a top-of-the-line hyperdrive capable of making it 0.5 above light speed. That certainly came in handy in a lot of jobs, but Han never really got the chance to push the ship to its limits. And he thought he wouldn't get the chance just yet, when he met an old man and a farm boy from Tatooine. Well, that's my theory. It's funny, this originally was going to be a speculation video, but it turned out being almost a mini fan fiction. Speaking of which though, I need your help. As you can see, this channel is less than a month old. It has 2 subscribers and no fan base at all, exactly what I'd expect from such a new channel. But that's where you come in. Just tell me what you want to see here from now on. Do you want to see me on the other side of the camera, or are you content with this old school stupendous wave format? Minus the professional touch. My current staples are news, theory, and lore, but would you like to see real fanfiction? I could probably whip something up, but I can't speak to its quality. Just tell me what you want, and I will take it into consideration, and for now, may the Force be with you.